I just gotta say, guys, this episode of the Gaming Lovers podcast has got to be the most easiest one to record because I'm gonna do the whole thing in a donkey voice.
The Gaming Lovers podcast with Brendo and Jem. G'day and welcome to episode 103 of the Gaming Lovers podcast. I'm Jem.
I'm Brendo, and 103 is surprisingly one of my favourite numbers.
Really?
Yes.
I know 13 is like your lucky number, ironically. But 103?
103 is the model number of the tyrant that follows you, also known as Mr. X in Resident Evil 2. 103 is an important number to me, and it is often in my passwords on the internet. Oh, wait, I probably shouldn't say that on the internet, should I?
In today's episode, we are going to be shining a light on some of our favourite creators, influencers, YouTubers, etc., etc. There's a few channels that we really love and we go to when we want to be entertained by other people that love video games as much as we do. So we're going to be going through some of those. There's some that we both love, have a mutual love for, and then there's a couple that are a bit more unique to each of us.
Unique to each of us. Some we have conflicting opinions on. Yes. But overall, it is enjoyable to see how much these YouTube channels cooperate and have each other as guest appearances on them. Mm-hmm. It feels like back in the 90s, the early 2000s, everyone was like, no, they're the enemy. We can't work with them. We've got to take them out of business. And now everyone's working together and it's all nice, and seeing collaborations can help you find a new YouTube channel to enjoy.
Definitely.
And that's exactly what happened to us, and we binge-watched the entire thing in a week. But more on that later. Of course, we have to start with gaming goals.
I thought we were going to hold that and then we both stopped really abruptly.
Oh, so you were just going to leave me hanging then?
It's been more of the same, I think, for me as far as gaming goals this week. With the big exception of me really not playing the main thing I said I was going to.
I have noticed the further you get into this pregnancy, the more fickle your intentions to do something become. And I'm not talking about dishes or washing or anything important in life, but I'm talking about, I want to play Persona. You get to the couch. Oh, I don't want to play Persona. I want to play Animal Crossing. No, you turn it on. Yeah, I don't want to play Animal Crossing. So it's kind of difficult for someone like yourself in the state that you're in, both mentally and physically.
Yes.
Becoming more plump. It's been challenging as your loving and supportive partner to see you go through this. Your video game time shriveling to nothing.
I know, when I should be taking advantage of it.
You got to maximize your gaming right now. You're not going to have the ability to game on a whim when there's a screaming baby in the house. Do what I'm doing. Ignore everything else that you're supposed to be doing. Play some video games.
That's just the problem, though. All these other people, like, complaining about being bored or, looking for new things to do or bragging about, I guess, being able to enjoy their hobbies more or gaining new hobbies. And both of us still have work, a little more work in some ways than we normally do. I'm like, I wish I had the energy levels to pour into video games, but I'm trying to prioritize. There's just so much that needs to get done each week that when it comes down to sit down for video games, certain games especially require a little bit more concentration than others.
Yep.
And even though I have played Persona 5 before, I still need to have at least enough mental capacity to really read the guide day by day, because if I miss one little thing, it'll screw up everything else. And so I'm so aware of that, and I'm like, oh, my brain's a bit too fried. I'll just play something else. Animal Crossing has been a bit of a godsend for me, though. It's like, I know I haven't played it as much or as lengthy sessions as you have, but I've still been playing just enough every day to at the very least get my Nook miles. And unlock some things so that you can do more activities as well.
Yes.
I know that's a pet peeve of you, me being the main resident.
It is becoming a constant annoyance.
I don't know if there's a way to change that.
I don't think there is, unless we delete the entire island.
No, I love the orchards and stuff that we've made, and I've actually planted a lot of the most profitable money trees because I've discovered you can put even more than 10 grand into the hole, in those shiny glowy holes, and managed to have really, really, awesome, like, I think each bag then when it falls, the ones that's fully grown, I think the highest one I had so far was 13 grand per bag. That's pretty good.
How does that much money fit in a bag?
I don't know.
And it's bells, don't forget.
Oh,
Bells
sorry.
by proportion take up far more space than a coin or a note. So this doesn't make any sense. It must be a bag of holding.
It's magic.
Now, Animal Crossing New Horizons, we've been playing collectively on the same island because that's the only way you can do the game on one console. And I'm not buying another Switch to have my own island, but I am starting to lose interest in this game, my first Animal Crossing, simply because I can do far less than you can. I have far less options. I have no ability to control the infrastructure. I can't move anyone's houses. I can't lay down roads. And all I can do is pluck fruit and plant fruit and pick out weeds. And that just doesn't sound like an exciting day at home, let alone in a video game world.
You could log in as me.
Doesn't that defeat the purpose of you actually playing the game?
No, but I'm saying if you wanted to move infrastructure things around, I would be fine with that. Like, you don't have to do all the things that I would do as me. But if you want to do those kind of things, I would be okay with that. If you wanted to.
I'm scared the damage is already done.
Oh, you've lost your love for Animal Crossing.
It has sharply dropped down the priority list this
You
week.
have had so many other big games come into your life. It's no wonder you don't care so much about Animal Crossing.
And they have moved up the priority ranks this week.
So what have you been playing?
What have I been playing? I have officially beaten Resident Evil 3
I thought you were
Remake.
going to say Final Fantasy VII. I was about to do the victory music and then... No, of course. All these other games you've been playing before Resident Evil 3 came out, the remake, have just been put on pause.
Well, look, I've been playing a lot of long, big, open world, 20, 30, 40, 50-hour games. Playing something this short has been enjoyable. So my overall playtime for a game that is considerably shorter than its predecessor only took me about 5.5 hours of play time, not including... No, that was my run time. The overall play time was a little longer because I did die a few times. But my save file time upon completion, 5.5 hours. Sounds awfully short for a game. Full price game. Now, I have some pros and I have some cons as my final word on Resident Evil 3. I've beaten it twice this week.
Yes.
The second time took a lot faster. I played on a lower difficulty because I was chasing some harder trophies. No healing items, no item boxes, and I did them both on the same playthrough, and it took me just about 2.5 hours for that run.
Mm-hmm.
So I have had some experience with this game in this week. That is for sure. Now, I'll start with the negatives, because a remake, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, takes the source material, has expanded it, has added in new factors for less important characters, added in brand new characters, added in brand new features, brand new locations, and enhanced some of the journeys to other locations that you know you're going to anyway.
Yep.
Resident Evil 3 Remake took main things out of the game, didn't put them in. We are missing the town hall, we're missing the newspaper building, we're missing the clock tower. The clock tower is the biggest one, the biggest gripe I have. I liked that place in the original. And when you have an enhanced version of a game, why are we taking large sections out? Especially when the runtime is already so darn short.
I don't know how to answer these questions because I'm not a developer. I wasn't part of the decision making.
I just wanted your opinion on why that might have happened. It doesn't really streamline the experience to the point where it's more enjoyable.
Yeah.
The game is already so fast-paced. You start off at full speed within 3 minutes of playtime. The game barely lets up that fast pace through the whole game. And when you move through areas relatively quickly to then go on to the next area and you can't backtrack to the first area, you feel like you're just not getting time to enjoy the scenery as much as one would like to. So,
in a zombie outbreak, yep.
in a virtual zombie outbreak.
I'm sorry,
yes.
but in the sense of if you were being realistic about the scenario that you're in, there would be a huge sense of urgency. You wouldn't want to loiter.
True, I suppose that is true. But for a game that thrives, the best part about these games is the exploration. Figure out what's around the next corner. And with a location like in Resident Evil 2 Remake, you have the police station, the main hall. You will go in and out of that main hall 12, 2 dozen, 3 dozen times. And it feels safe and familiar. And then as you keep going through, you know that that's like your moment to catch your breath and head out and explore again.
Mm-hmm.
And this game is not so centralized on one big location like the mansion of Resident Evil 1, the police station of Resident Evil 2. You sort of just move through. Here's the streets, here's the power station, here's this place, here's that place, done. And they took out some of those locations. Why? I don't understand. But it's one of my major complaints about this.
Well, maybe they were putting in so much effort into the multiplayer aspect that they needed to cut down anything that felt possibly superfluous to the main story.
That's a good point. I have yet to try Resident Evil Resistance, the multiplayer aspect of this title, I suppose, even though it's 2 separate games with 2 separate trophy lists. They were bundled onto one disc, and it confuses me on the PlayStation 4 dashboard because you put in the disc. This is, again, another physical media problem. And the disc has its own icon, which then branches down to 2 other icons for Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil Resistance. But then you also have Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil Resistance on the actual dashboard crossbar. Mm-hmm. So you have 2 Resident Evil 3s, and no matter which one I go to first, it's always the wrong one. It's the one for the disc, not the game. So I'm just bad luck Brendo when it comes to that. Now, one thing that I thought I would complain about, the overall length of this game has gotten a lot of flack because it is so short. Again, directly compared to Resident Evil 2 Remake, it is dramatically shorter. But I don't think that's so much of a problem because of how well they've put in replay value into this game.
You've always been a bit of a trophy hunter or achievement popper, so I know that you're quite happy to go back and replay it as many times as you need to get the platinum.
Yes, and this is the sort of game that I thrive on, chasing this style of trophy. Mm-hmm. A game that's 40 hours long, you might replay it once after you've already beaten it and try to collect every trophy on the way through. And if it doesn't work, well, I guess those 3 trophies aren't going to be ever popped because I can't be bothered replaying a 40-hour game for the 3rd time. With a game this short, you can blitz through it in a couple of hours.
Yep.
And do a full run, get all your collectibles if that's what you're after. Do no healing if that's what you're after. Try and get the S rank if that's what you're after. And if you don't get it, doing another run isn't so daunting. And I enjoy the repetition of these playthroughs because you have to take each one in a different style. I loved the fact that there was invisible enemy mode in the Resident Evil 1 remake on the PlayStation 4 with the trophies. I loved that you had to do that for a trophy. I loved that in Resident Evil 2, there was one to do minimum amount of footsteps. You had to get to the end of the game with only X amount of footsteps stepped. And you had to maximize and streamline your playthrough and play it a different way than you would for pretty much any other trophy. You can't go out of your way to get collectibles. You can't backtrack. You have to do it efficiently, and there's your trophy for it. And if you muck it up, we'll try it again. I like it. I like it. And Resident Evil 3 Remake in particular has an unlockable shop where, depending on what challenges and what achievements and what mini achievements called records in this game you unlock, you get currency and you can choose what bonuses to unlock in what order. So you can plan your next playthrough. Maybe you'll have some regenerating health. Maybe you'll have an unlimited rocket launcher to help streamline those higher difficulties. But to get them, you have to do more challenges. To do more challenges, you unlock more stuff to help you do more challenges to get more stuff. It has worked out very well so far. I'm 2 runs through this game, and I intend on doing at least a few more. before I drop this game.
So what has happened to Final Fantasy VII Remake and Death Stranding?
What game? Dead Space. Did you say? What is it? Death Stranding? No, that doesn't sound familiar at all. What are you talking about? Is that a game that I've played recently? I have no memory of it. Look, Death Stranding. Stay tuned near the tail end of this episode because there may be plans in the works for Death Stranding. But Final Fantasy VII Remake has been the other main game I have been playing this week. I have not abandoned it. Please don't throw accusations at me just because it is a character trait of mine, especially on this podcast. But I feel like I might be within striking distance of beating Final Fantasy VII Remake. I adore, absolutely adore, when games break their immersion. Purely to tell you that, hey, the point of no return's coming up, so just be careful. If you go towards this objective, you will not be able to go back. I don't normally like things that break the immersion and show a little, hey, you're playing a video game. Just remember that.
Mass Effect 2 does a good way of kind of disguising that before the suicide mission. Kind of hinting at you go down this path and everything else is going to get locked away.
Yep.
So
I just like getting that warning. I don't care if it's disguised in character dialogue, if it's written in the text of the mission objective description, or if it's just a pop-up, which is exactly in this game. It literally just says, hey, this is the end of the road, so do what you need to do now. And I am doing what I need to do. I'm wrapping up my final side quests. I'm wrapping up my final weapon upgrades. I'm trying to defeat Leviathan in the VR simulator, and I have failed repeatedly. But apart from that, I am almost ready to hit the final stretch of the game.
For Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Which will probably take me about 15 hours to do if it's anything like the rest of this game. Because everything takes so darn long to do. So overall, Final Fantasy VII Remake, greatly enjoying it. Greatly enjoying it.
Good.
But it has not been abandoned. And the only other game we have been playing collectively is Overcooked 2, the game that never seems to leave me alone.
Now that you've gone back to it, I will not let you put it down.
We have finished all the DLC now.
Finally. Now we got to go back and get 4 stars. And the trophies. Trophy popping.
4 stars.
Bleep bloop.
He can do 4 stars.
I have been doing solo 4 stars on levels that I can do solo 4 stars. But I do prefer playing at the minimum 2-player. But we've also been figuring out ways to play with family. And yesterday we had a bit of a breakthrough because we managed to have you and me playing together with Mel and Steve, having 2 local couch co-op combine for 4-player multiplayer. And for the longest time we thought it was impossible.
Well, not only we thought it was impossible, as dumb as this sounds, every Google search I did on this topic, nobody could explain to us how to have 2 people playing on one console, 2 people playing on another, and you play together online. It shouldn't be that hard.
No.
But I don't know, originally, I believe, over a year ago, it was not literally possible based off the descriptions I got. Now, whether they patched it in or people are just stupid all over the world, which is still a possibility. But through minor experimentation, it was actually fairly simple.
Would you like to explain to people in case they would like to do it?
It's a very specific explanation for the few people that have 2 players in one house and 2 players in another house, and you want to play 4-player cooperative Overcooked without having to go to a public or private game session. It was actually quite easy. So I have the PlayStation Plus subscription on our console, and not the good brother, but his wife, for whatever reason, stole the PlayStation Plus subscription in their house, and all we did was have me logging Overcooked 2 on our console, you joined me locally in our lobby, the good brother started his session and invited us collectively, not individually. He simply invited me to play with him, and you just tagged along for the ride. You got no invite to the party, and you showed up as the +1.
Well, technically, he did send me an invite.
Nope.
I just didn't open it.
It doesn't count then. If you don't open an invite, it's like Ellen DeGeneres, who got flack recently for not being invited to a party, but she was.
And
she made a joke saying, oh, why didn't you invite me? And the celebrity said, well, I did.
Dakota Johnson.
And she said, no, you didn't. And she said, no, you did. And then she said,
and the producer was like, you did.
Threw her under the bus. What a villain. So you did not even open your invite. It had nothing to do with that. And then once the two of us got invited into the Good Brothers game, the good sister-in-law / good sister, if it's you, got invited as well, just locally to join in. And there we go. We had 4 players in different houses on different consoles in the same game. It shouldn't be this complicated.
Well, we've tried it before, and like times where we've done it, someone's mic wouldn't connect because it would only connect to the primary person that was either hosting or like that had like logged in first and things like that. So there were so many different technical issues as we attempted it multiple times over the course of the last couple of weeks here in,
It had to be done
lockdown.
very specifically because otherwise it said, oh, no, this player doesn't have the right credentials to play online. And you're like, no, but we do. We've done it. It's not that difficult, Overcooked.
And I was able to be the one to host in previous occasions, and I don't even have PlayStation Plus. I think so long as someone on your console does, that's the key.
If it is the primary PlayStation 4, yes.
Yes.
So it just took far too much effort to try and do that. We were hoping by the time we connected, the whole COVID-19 situation would be over and we wouldn't have to play Overcooked online. We could just get together and play it in real life. But we finally got it working. And, of course, it almost fractured friendships, as it usually does, because it's Overcooked too.
Oh, dear. It's been lots of fun, though, exploring this new avenue of hanging out with friends and family. I think discovering that I do enjoy online multiplayer if I can control who I'm playing with.
Yes.
When we were attempting this last night with Mel and Steve, when we were trying to like log in by just using the public things and hoping we would randomly be paired together, was kind of amusing because poor strangers kept getting added to our group and we'd be like, nah, leave.
Let's go. Let's get out of here.
And part of me was like, I hope they can't hear our mics. We were like, oh, who's this? Get out. Exit the lobby.
Yep. And we also did play some Jackbox over Skype this week as well by sending the TV's image through the internet and playing as if we're all together. Mm-hmm. So it works, and there'll be more Jackbox Skype sessions in the future, I think.
Yes, there's several ways that you can do that. Some people recommend playing Jackbox if you have it on an actual computer to then use things like Google Hangouts and things, so you can have the audio pure, I guess, instead of coming from speakers. Yeah,
if you have a way to just share your screen, that's obviously easier, but it worked for us. Mm-hmm. Us technologically impaired people, because we're getting up in age, you see, dear. So we have to start adjusting to our age-appropriate behaviour, and that includes forgetting how to set the microwave clock and anything internet-related.
Oh, dear. Well, that's been our week in gaming. Coming up very soon, we're going to be talking about our favourite influencers / YouTubers, content creators, those people who get paid to do stuff on the internet, those people.
No, it's just YouTube channels. It's not that hard. Just don't have to put these fancy words on it. Our favourite YouTube gaming channels coming up after this.
You're listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. Want to join the conversation? Visit thegaminglovers.com. Record your comment or question by clicking on the button on the right-hand side, and you could be featured in the next podcast.
So just like any responsible video gamer who wants to maximise the amount of time that they spend playing games, Jem and I decided this week to add another YouTube channel to our constantly and increasingly compressed free time on our schedule.
Yep.
I don't know why we do this to ourselves. We have so many time-consuming hobbies. We love anime. We love video games. We like Netflix. We like wrestling. We like all these things that take up so much time, and then we just go, oh, I found something new. Let's watch this together.
I don't know what it is about YouTube recently, though, that has really appealed to my pregnant brain of just, I don't want to really concentrate on this. I want to giggle a little bit, but I still want to know about stuff that I'm interested in. And YouTube is it's got that good bubble, I guess. You can look up topics and things that you're interested in and go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. For those who don't know what YouTube is, it's
how did you discover podcasts?
Television, but you can choose what you want to watch on a video by video basis.
And it's an interesting realm full of from music videos to talk show host segments to original content videos and conspiracy theories as well.
Well, absolutely none of that interests me except occasionally music videos. Can I mention Gangnam Style? Yes, indeed.
How that feels so old now.
It is. Sadly, it is. But when it comes to video game channels on YouTube, I have very specific tastes of what I like to watch and why I like to watch it. And Jem is quite the same.
Yes. I like comedy. I like good gaming reviews. I like to also be familiar with a reviewer and see, either they have to be pretty much 99% on par with my opinion, or at least give logical reasons as to why they like something that I don't.
Yep.
So that I can understand where you're coming from. I don't agree with where you're coming from, but I respect where you're coming from. You know, if someone is just hateful for being hateful, then I can't stand them.
Yep.
So that sums up how I find whether I enjoy something or not.
Yep. So we're going to start off this discussion about our favourite YouTube gaming channels.
Channels?
About our favourite gaming YouTube channels. And we have our usuals that go through our things. And sometimes you discover a new channel and you don't even really know how you find it. But recommended to me, based off my video interests, was a channel called Girlfriend Reviews. And I immediately clicked on it because I thought it was someone reviewing girlfriends, but apparently that's not what it is. It is a channel with a intense video gamer boyfriend and a less intense, less video game interested girlfriend.
AKA filthy casual, I think, is how many would describe.
Filthy casual.
Just especially when she establishes what games she plays, if she does play ever, is very much in that realm of casual, easy, fluffy games that some other gamers turn their noses up against, which is rude. You may have seen the meme of the boyfriend that's looking over his shoulder at the other girl walking past and then the girlfriend next to him having that, how dare he kind of face.
Yep.
They use that meme stock photo and recycle it with the different video game graphics and stuff each week, which is always a lot of fun.
Now, what immediately locked me into wanting to watch as much of this as possible, A, funny, B, well edited, but C, this is the experience not of a general video game review, but this is her reviews of what it's like to be the co-pilot, the backseat gamer.
Yes.
And how annoying it is to watch the game get played and not necessarily be played. And that doesn't evolve and change with certain games further down the series. But once we discovered this, it reminded me a lot of the start of our relationship, where one of us was an intense full-time gamer and the other might have been labelled as a filthy casual. Your words, not mine.
Yes. I suppose that's fair. I think I feel a lot in kinship with Shelby, especially the reason for starting the channel over a year ago. It's a very young channel, really, given the success that they've had. She had one particular video game, Breath of the Wild, the Zelda game, and the menu sound effect going open, close, open, close, open, close was driving her nuts hearing that from the other room. And I'm like, oh, I feel you. Not that game in particular, but Persona 3. When you were playing that in bed next to me and I would just hear out of context the different music and things, I'm like, this is the most annoying video game on the planet.
Velvet Room music.
And I'm like, how can you listen to this? I was so rude.
Shopping mall music.
Yeah.
Get up, put your in a slam. Oh. I said, hey. Yep.
When you are playing the game, it does not bother you for the most part. I think most people enjoy Persona music. When you are listening to snippets that are on repeat for hours and you're not the one playing, it gets so annoying.
It can be. So this is amusing because, like I said, this is how our relationship pretty much started as gaming lovers.
Mm-hmm.
There were games that you'd never played. I wanted to introduce you to. Some of them you honestly, by your own admission, were not good enough to play them yourself. It's games like Uncharted back in the day. I would play and you would watch.
Yep.
And then you would get frustrated because I would die at the same point 8 times in a row.
I mean, let me know when the storyline moves on.
And we've faced the exact same situations that Shelby and her boyfriend have through their gaming experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's been games that I'm like, no, you are ready for this now. And you were not ready for. And there's games I'm like, no, you'll enjoy this. It's only a little bit scary. And it was a little bit more than a little bit scary. And there's been so many videos on this channel where I'm like, this has been our story. And I love it.
And they have a lot of similar tastes for the most part. I'd say like 95% of what they're into, from memes and TV shows that they use in their edited videos to the actual games and things that they love and gravitate towards. There's only been like maybe 2 videos that we've like strongly disagreed with as far as her conclusion and stuff. Like Detroit Become Human. We've obviously both liked David Cage games. And we're in that small minority, I think, of people that enjoy those games more than most.
Yep.
And that's fair. And we acknowledge that it's not for everyone.
They are entitled to their opinion, just as we are entitled to ours. And if they have a differing opinion and they explain why they have a differing opinion, I'm happy for people to have a differing opinion.
Totally.
Especially on a game like Detroit Become Human, where you have such a different experience depending on how you play.
And I think one thing that, watching that particular video and her pointing out all the things of, I like the whole, androids at the back of the bus and the parallels that they drew with a lot of American history. I guess because in Australia we haven't had that. Like there is still racism here and there's still plenty of horrendous things that have happened in our history, but I think we're able to distance ourselves from some of those things and it doesn't quite, rub us the wrong way that it would maybe for those that, have a more personal experience or link to that.
Yep. So
those things that she had really big issues with were like, we didn't even think about that at all when we were playing it, So, it's interesting seeing like how just even geographically, where you've grown up and the culture that you are familiar with can impact how you view a game.
Mm-hmm. It's very true. Very true. So within the past year and a bit, they have made 62 videos, and in the span of a week, we have pretty much eaten 62 videos. And that is a testament to how much we've enjoyed this. This is not a paid promotion. This is just us doing our bit as influencers.
Hold up a minute.
We're
not getting paid for this?
No, we're not getting paid for this. Hold up a minute. That's going to be quoted around this house so much.
Oh, it already has been.
So we thought we'd open the discussion up. What video game channels on YouTube do we enjoy? Why do we enjoy them? And do you have any that you would like to share?
I think one that I want to bring up kind of more as an honorary mention because it's not officially a gaming channel per se. It's actually more of a movie review channel. But occasionally they dabble in video games and I'm kind of hoping that now that all these movies aren't being released for like several months that it's going to force them to go back to video games because they've missed it, is Jeremy Jahns. Because he cracks me up. I don't always agree on his taste. He obviously likes much more violent, much more scary stuff than I can handle. But I discovered his channel years ago, right after Mass Effect 3 came out and everyone was up in arms over the ending before it got patched. And he did this really long video. It's still one of his highest viewed videos to date. That's how I discovered his channel, was through that, talking about Mass Effect and him ranting about how disappointed he was in BioWare and da-da-da. So I'm like, come on, Jeremy Johns, now that movies are on pause, do more video game reviews.
He definitely did more video game reviews earlier in his channel.
He did.
So I'm hoping, just like you are, that this slower cinema release schedule is going to increase the amount of video games he has time to play.
Mm-hmm. And review.
Now, one channel we have found immature at times, excessively offensive at times, but for some reason we can't stop laughing. Donkey.
Yes, at the beginning of this episode, you did your best Donkey impersonation. You love talking in that voice now.
I can't help it. Myself and the good brother, Mr. Steve, do a similar voice, and I've just taken that a little bit further to make it a donkey voice, and I can do it without even realizing at times. Donkey has videos where he focuses some on just one game, gives his opinions on it. As usual, sometimes we agree, sometimes we definitely do not agree. But regardless of the video, regardless of the game, the content is almost always hilarious.
Yes.
And unexpected laughs come out of nowhere. But
Donkey made a good point, though, too. Like, he was talking about not being biased in his reviews and things like that, and being honest with his opinions. And he was honest that he didn't like anime, didn't like RPGs, didn't like a lot of those turn-based combat. And immediately I'm like, okay, I don't know if I want to listen to you anymore because I love all those things. But then he went on to say that when he says that he loves Persona 5, that means people should give it more credence, because even though he hates all those elements, for some reason that game is amazing.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay.
Tucked away inside these video channel of silly, goofy video talking about Animal Crossing, stupid, goofy video talking about Assassin's Creed, stupid, goofy video trying to explain the Metal Gear Solid storyline over the years. You also have some quite thoughtful, quite accurate analyses of remakes and remasters,
Yes.
of video game reviewers and critics across different websites, and why every game seems to get an 8 or higher.
On IGN.
Especially on IGN. And then they'll criticize a game, and you just hear all these different audio clips from their review of how much this game annoyed them, and then they give it a 9.3. And it's like, this doesn't make sense. So there are some very, very, mind-opening videos among this stupid, immature channel that have just made me go, oh my gosh, that I've never thought of it that way.
Delivered in a way that has you laughing, but also, it's thought-provoking at the same time, which I think is genius.
Yep.
It's like a good satirical movie that tackles hard topics, but in such a fun way that you don't feel like you're being lectured. You're enjoying the fun, and then you come out of it going, yeah,
it's less so much a lecture, and if there was a drunk guy at the bar who's trying to tell you about a point that actually makes sense, and he's telling you about the most boring things, but doing it in such a funny way, you can't help but giggle along as well.
We discovered Donkey years ago. I believe it was one of his Hitman videos that you first found, which we found hilarious. Because obviously Hitman has such great value in just going back and doing things as ridiculous as possible. And so hearing his commentary over the top of that, very funny stuff.
I think he had me sold at the point where he said, could you maybe look at another Hitman? As everyone's just looking at him. That cracked me up.
His Untitled Goose Game video is also one of my favorites.
A duck game. And also, I appreciate the videos where it is 5 tiny, bad indie multiplayer games that I've never heard of before, but him and his friends play it online to hilarious results. And no matter what mood I'm in, if I'm watching a Donkey video, I'll probably laugh and occasionally say, it's a bit offensive with the amount of language.
Yes.
But overall, it makes me laugh.
And I think we could all use a little bit more of that. So if language and some of the, obviously, video game violence and things doesn't bother you, then Donkey is fun. A good diversion even for about 10 minutes.
And if you don't like Donkey, like some people out there, he'll probably make a video about you as well. So that was also very funny. Not for everyone, but I like Donkey.
One I think that is on my list, but not yours, is probably one of the first gaming-ish channels that I ever subscribed to, and probably one of the biggest channels on YouTube, period. Smosh.
Smosh.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, they started off obviously doing a lot of parodies and just fun, what if video games were real life type videos, and that's how I got stuck into them. I was an early adopter of that stuff, especially the Pokemon ones.
Yep, I was too, and that's pretty much my entire Smosh knowledge was up to that point, and then I moved on.
But since then, they've obviously expanded. The team that, from Anthony and Ian has obviously shifted to a much bigger group, and a lot of new fresh faces. They do a lot of fun pranks and interviews. Like they just dabble in everything these days. But they have a dedicated gaming team that have celebrities join them to play video games and just, streaming themselves playing competitive games. Which can be a lot of fun.
Especially when you have such madcap personalities like they do.
Yes.
When they're in front of the camera and they're on, the competitive side does come out.
Yes.
Quite often shared with trash talk and amusing reactions, which is always enjoyable.
And it's one of the reasons that we discovered Gang Beasts was because they were playing them with some WWE superstars.
Yes.
Seth Rollins does his usual the entire time he's playing a video game, which I found hilarious. But recently they also did a weird glove challenge with some of the guys from Critical Role, who, if you're into D&D, you would be well aware of Matthew Mercer as well as Sam Riegel. We are very familiar with them as voice actors in a lot of our favorite, video games as well. So we're getting to see them actually kick some butt in video games against the guys at Smosh, and then put their hands in gloves filled with goo and stuff. So
The things you watch on YouTube.
But seriously, sometimes it's just fun to have silly fluff like that. It reminds me of youth group kind of activities, like those kind of weird challenges that you do. That's the kind of content that you get on Smosh.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody. I think that you could say that about any form of entertainment, though.
Let's just make that a blanket statement across
so we
everything.
don't have to keep saying it every time.
Everyone has different tastes in their YouTube channels. It's not for everyone, but if you want to take that clip that Donkey used a lot on the YouTube channel about the critics, it's got a little something for everyone. Now, you gave me two softball segues, and now I don't know which one to take. You gave me WWE superstars, and you gave me voice actors. Which one should we take?
Well, you know which one's my favourite out of those two categories, so it's really up to you.
All right, I'll go with the superstars. Xavier Woods was talking very, very, very long time ago about starting a WWE-based YouTube channel with video games. And it started off simply with him on the road playing games like Slender. Playing games, just by himself in his hotel room and experiencing different games on a bad quality camera. And nowadays, I think Up, Up, Down, Down produces 18 videos an hour. And I can't keep up with all the content.
Just like Smosh, it's turned into this huge machine of entertainment content.
Yeah, and to be honest, when a channel has that much content and I can't go through the entire thing like we did with Girlfriend Reviews, it kind of turns me off, and I can't stay invested on everything that channel's doing. I'll pop in now and again and say and pick and choose, I want to watch this one and I want to watch this one. But there's been 15 since I chose between the first and the second one that just got released. I can't do it. So I like to see what my favourite WWE superstars are up to behind the scenes. I like their personalities. I'm invested in their journeys, not only as on-screen characters, but as actual people in that weird, wacky industry.
Yep.
And combining that with video games, again, you get the trash talk, the Madden tournaments. I have zero interest in Madden. Zero interest in playing Madden or watching American football in general. But if I watch these superstars get competitive over Madden, I love it.
Yeah. It's more watching them interact with each other that is the appeal. Getting to see Xavier have one-on-one kind of chats, or I should say Austin.
Yes, true, sorry. He has so many names.
He does.
Austin Creed.
Seeing him have these, interviews and times where they're a bit more relaxed because they're playing video games and just chatting with a mate rather than being kind of on guard like they can be in other interviews.
Yep.
And it's interesting to note, if you've followed it or you are interested in backstage stories like we are, that when he first started this, very few people were interested in being a part of it. And then when it started getting lots of views, the WWE corporate people wanted to start putting their fingers in it. And he told them to go away, that it was his, and that he would obviously allow more WWE superstars to be part of it, but that they wouldn't have creative control over it. So he's protected the channel and its integrity in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of stuff always fascinates me, hearing those stories.
Yeah, unlike Girlfriend Reviews, which has 62 videos, as this time of recording is accurate, Up, Up, Down, Down has over 2,500.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are just starting on the journey...
It can be a bit intimidating, but they do break it down into categories. So you've got ones where they're doing tournaments. They've got ones, I think it's called Superstar Save Point, where you've got the one-on-one interviews. Those are probably my favourite.
Usually with the guest's favourite game from their childhood, which is always good.
Yep.
If it's something that you've played as well. And you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't thought about Mickey Mouse's Castle of Illusion in years. And then you go and enjoy a video with that and a couple of people having a good chat. I enjoy it, and yeah, I enjoy it.
Mm.
And you enjoy it.
Yes.
And we enjoy it.
That we do. It makes me wonder, for some reason, it's like when you watch sometimes talk shows and you're like, if I was famous, what kind of story would I tell the host? And watching Up, Up, Down, Down, for some reason, I'm like, if I was one of the guests, which video game would I want to play with Austin? I'd have to choose one I'm really good at so I wouldn't look like an idiot.
My favourite part of this channel is the battle of the brands, where you have Austin Creed and Tyler Breeze head-to-head in a game of SmackDown vs. Raw as opposing general managers fighting for virtual fans in a virtual game.
Yep.
And who can manage their rosters better, put on better shows. Very enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Very enjoyable.
Every time a new 2K wrestling game comes out, they'll also do tournaments for that as well. Mm-hmm. That would be a little bit tough because obviously, A, their faces are in the game, but B, if the game sucks hard like the last edition did and is so broken, it would be hard to be kind of honest and have some integrity as far as, you want to promote a game that you're in because you probably get some royalties off of it, but I don't know. I think I'd struggle with that line of, do I want to recommend a game that's so bad just because you have that link? You know what I mean?
At least if you're not affiliated with it, you can make as much fun of it as you want.
Exactly. So there is a little bit of that. Coming up after the break, one of our favourite YouTube channels is making some big changes and we're not so sure if we're quite happy about them.
Share the love. Follow us on Twitter at Brendo and Jem. That's BRENDOJEM.
Well, it is no secret. We have mentioned many times on this podcast before that we are massive fans of voice acting.
Yes.
The entire voice acting industry, and also specific voice actors which have a very fond place in our heart.
Yes. Two of the most prolific, most well-known voice actors in the industry today, Nolan North and Troy Baker, have their gaming YouTube channel, Retro Replay, which we have loved from the first episode, from the fun, retro style of TV that they play on, and the set dressing, to the banter where they just basically almost give up on playing the game partway through the episode and just talk.
Yeah, when this series started, they were playing exclusively the most retro of retro games. Mm-hmm. And seeing Nolan North slowly lose his mind at an Atari version of Spider-Man was among my most favourite YouTube memories ever. Yes. These two have interesting stories that sometimes they'll just pause the game and say, hang on a second, what did you say?
Hold up a minute.
Is that actually true? Hold up a minute. Is that actually what happened? Tell me about that story. Tell me about that audition. Tell me about that motion capture experience. And because they have so many roles that they've played in video games and throughout all media, it's enjoyable to hear a lot of these stories.
Definitely. I think that's one of the biggest draws for me, is more that side, I guess, because they do get quite easily distracted and frankly sometimes don't get past level 1 on a lot of these video games. So watching them play isn't as much fun as their stories, and getting to hear how things work behind the scenes
In an industry that you're definitely interested in.
Yes. Oh, no, not at all. But yeah, it's also fun. I think some people have this weird misconception, or had, I guess I should say, that these two are rivals as far as voice acting in the industry that they work in is concerned. A lot of people would pit them against each other when they're actually very close. They're almost like brothers in the way that they interact and will, tease each other, but they're very, very dear friends.
Yep.
And when people assume that they're rivals because they're both at the top of their game in this industry, I think kind of annoys them a bit.
Yeah, this series started off exclusively with super retro games. They moved on to some more modern stuff. And towards the tail end of this YouTube channel, we have had Nolan North playing through this game series that he voiced the lead on in Uncharted. And they've done The Last of Us, the definitive playthrough, with Troy Baker, Nolan North playing through a game that is one of Troy Baker's most iconic roles and one of Nolan North's creepiest. And seeing them try to play through the game, Troy Baker's done it before. It's Nolan North's first run ever. He doesn't know the plot twists. He doesn't know the big set pieces. He doesn't know the emotional impact that game's going to give him. And seeing his facial expression when he realised going from fun, over-the-top, shooty, adventure, fun, sarcastic Nathan Drake to serious, somber, tragic The Last of Us.
Yeah.
And after about half an hour, he's like, this is not a fun game. Seeing the moment of realisation that this is going to be a bit of a different playthrough.
Yes.
That was quite enjoyable. And unfortunately, we don't know what is in store for the future of Retro Replay.
No. They just announced that Troy Baker is starting his own YouTube channel and that Uncle Noli is going to continue Retro Replay with a slew of rotating guests, I guess. And I don't know if that is partially to do with COVID-19, if they can't connect.
Can't actually get together.
Yeah, exactly. Or if something has happened where we're like, no.
Well, maybe the internet was right. Maybe they are rivals after all. We're pitting them against each other. YouTube versus YouTube.
No. I would like to believe that it is more to do with the current world situation, or just that schedules aren't aligning, that kind of thing. So that's what I'm choosing to believe at this stage.
Now, it's kind of funny when it comes to YouTube videos and the attention spans we all have these days that, you'll send me a link for a video that's 3 minutes and 12 seconds long, and I'm like, I don't have time to watch this. And I'll go and do something else for the next 8 days, and you will say, did you watch that YouTube video I sent you? And I'm like, no. I'm not going to lie to you, so no.
We both do that to each other, actually.
Sometimes you get 24 seconds into a video and you're like, yeah, this is boring, and you change to something else. There is a channel that I have been a long fan of, and it has not the best production values. It has a host who's not perfectly eloquent in his speech, but I can sit and listen to him talk about a game that I might be familiar with for half an hour, and it feels like it just breezes by. And that channel is called Some Call Me Johnny. He is a cool dude who started a channel with his brother called the Super Gaming Brothers.
Yep.
And eventually it spun off to his own solo channel. But the thing I appreciate about Some Call Me Johnny is that when he invests in a series, he marathons the series. And I discovered him when I was doing my own marathon of the early Sonic the Hedgehog games. And I'm like, who the heck, how can I find a channel that has, a review? Now that I've beaten Sonic Chaos, for example, one of the 8-bit games that I'd never played before, now that I've beaten that for the first time, can I find someone who's talking about these early Sonic games? And I found Some Call Me Johnny. And he has so many Sonic the Hedgehog reviews, so that's always the way to Brendo's heart. I think his single most watched video is like the Sonic 06 breakdown that goes for like 50-something minutes. And that's just an absolute train wreck of a game. So, that's going to be good YouTube viewing. But he has got marathons of so many different series that I've played a lot of games in. The Legend of Zelda, a lot of Mario games. He's got Metal Gear. He's got Resident Evil, Silent Hill. I love it. And this is one of the qualifiers for what style of YouTube channel I would like to watch, because I am so anti-spoiler that if I have not played a game, but I have an inkling, a 1% chance that I might want to play it in the future, we're not going near that video.
Yeah. Sometimes I watch them by myself.
Yep. Sometimes we'll be halfway through a top 10 list. We get to number 6, and I say, no, we got to stop this video because I haven't played this game and I want to play it. And you're like, it came out like 15 years ago. And I'm like, yes, I know, but I might want to play it 15 years from now. So we cannot watch this video. So with such a large content and with games that I am familiar with, I enjoy hearing other people's opinions, and I appreciate a lot of what Johnny, because that's what some call him, I appreciate what he brings to the table as far as his opinions and his thoughts and his criticisms.
There's one channel that we go to quite repeatedly. I think it's more educational than a lot of the others on this list. Did you know gaming?
Oh,
So
one of the
fascinating.
all-time best.
So fascinating. And also super fast. So many topics that they cover, and it's like, here's a factoid, here's a factoid, here's a factoid, here's a factoid, here's another factoid, and here's this factoid. And you kind of like, whoa, what did you say? Oh, and that's interesting. Wait, what? And it's like you're just absorbing one thing that they've told you about a game, and they've already moved on to about 12 others. So it can be a little bit much if you're trying to really absorb all the information. Maybe it's done so that you rewatch the video. I don't know.
That's very sinister. Maybe the guy just leant on the button that does it at 2.5 times speed.
No, it's not fast talking. It's just that the way it's edited, I wonder if they're like reading off a list, but then it's almost like jump cuts in the way that it's edited, and I can hear the edit points from sentence to sentence because it abruptly starts from one sentence to another. It's not a natural flow or read.
Yep.
There's no breath intakes. There's nothing. It's just literally this.
It's another channel that has videos specifically on certain games, maybe then some on the series, maybe some on the director of the series, some on the console, some on this console generation, some on this publisher, some on this developer. You got so many different videos there, and every single one that I have watched, I have enjoyed.
Yes.
And walked away saying, oh my goodness, I didn't realize the development of that game was so troubled. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize that this director got kicked out of his own project. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize Sonic the Hedgehog had a human girlfriend early on. No, I actually did know that. I actually did know that.
I think if you know a topic really well, there'll still be at least one factoid in that video that you will not have known. Things that we feel like we're experts on, we go, Oh, that's interesting. So if you are
we just did a podcast on that topic. We probably should have watched this video first.
Probably. There have been times where we've legit watched some of their videos ahead of time for things just to double check and be like, okay, so have we forgotten something about this particular topic? Okay, let's write that down.
Hold up a minute.
Oh, Maker, that's what the third reference we've done there. But yeah, it's fun to watch. There's always graphics and things to go along with the slew of information that comes at you. So if you are looking for a gaming channel that is less fluff and more informative, then that's one that we love.
Another that I frequently go back to nowadays, which I used to dabble in a tiny bit in the past, but as the years have rolled on, I have become more invested in Games Done Quick. And it's something we have mentioned a lot recently, especially this year with so many fundraising episodes when we were talking about all the Australian bushfires, like that was going to be the worst thing of the year worldwide.
I mean, it was devastating. But man, this year has... it keeps upping the ante. I don't want to think about it, whether it could up it even more.
But look, darling, look at it this way. Find the silver lining. If there is a silver lining here, it's that there are more Games Done Quicks. Because we have, at this very moment, as we record this podcast, Corona Relief Done Quick. An impromptu 3-day event, I believe. Speed running some of our favourite games and some new games like Doom Eternal.
Yes.
For raising money for coronavirus relief efforts.
Awesome. There's so many different amazing groups that are stepping up as well, as far as charities and the like that are giving time and energy, people that are putting themselves, in harm's way as far as being on the front lines to help those that desperately, need treatment. So it's pretty incredible, as devastating as this kind of stuff is, to see the resilience of the human spirit when people unify and come together to help each other out.
Yep, there's been some great efforts, not just with Games Done Quick, but worldwide. So many different initiatives that are raising money, and having something that you can go back to and rewatch is also good for the YouTube economy, because I'm sure that's important.
I think the gaming and digital economy is flourishing more than it ever has in this time in history.
Mm-hmm. I, again, will pretty much only rewatch videos of speedruns that I have actually played myself, and therefore I won't get any spoilers. I won't have any boss exploits that help you beat a boss in 12 seconds, like they do in some of these games and videos. But I always enjoy watching people break games and speedrun them within an inch of them breaking completely.
This is an area that I think I differ from you a little bit. I mean, I do enjoy some speedruns, right? But I hate watching them break games that I love. I can't, I cannot watch them do the Mass Effect speedrun. It hurts. It literally hurts, because for me, the joy of those games is the story and taking my time and not rushing through it. So seeing someone blitz through it and miss things and not even recruit the best characters in the game, oh, it's too much. I can't handle it.
But you get to finish it in 37 minutes.
No.
Isn't that worth the sacrifice?
It takes me that long just to explore the Citadel. Thank you very much.
One of my other interests on YouTube as far as video games go is video game music. And of course, you can just type in top Mario music from space levels. And sure enough, someone's put them all together and you're like, awesome. I don't know who thought to do that, but thank you. But overall, I really appreciate good covers.
Yes.
And there's two in particular that I constantly go back to. One of which is more traditional and one's a bit weirder. Family Jules 7X, that's Jules, has one of the best channels if you are in the mood for some heavy metal covers of video game music. You want those shredding guitar riffs. I don't sound cool at all saying that, do I? But he's got Sonic music, he's got Undertale music, he's got Zelda music, he's got every music you could possibly want covered. He's got Persona, he's got Metroid, he's got everything. And I think he is a talented young man. And one of the all-time best videos on his channel is the history of Mario music. And that's a collaboration across all different YouTube gaming cover channels.
Yes.
And he's got them all involved in this one 25-minute marathon of different Mario music through the ages. It's awesome. He's got other history of video games where he goes through different tunes. It starts with Pong on his electric guitar, where he literally just goes bing, bong, bing, bong, and we go through Pac-Man, we go through Mario, we go through all this sort of stuff to modern games, and it's just this incredible journey. It is fantastic, and I always look forward to new videos from him.
That's how we discovered those weird electronic flute things.
Yes. The Omatone.
Yes. Which we bought one in Japan. We bought a Kirby one. And it's hard to learn how to play because there's no markers for where the notes and stuff are. But I taught myself Good King Wenceslas for Christmas. It's kind of just hit that right level of silliness that frankly works really well with that song. So yeah, that was all thanks to that. I would have even thought or known what that was had we not watched that channel and watched that video specifically.
Yep.
So
4,800 yen well spent, I'm sure. And the other one that I do like as well, if you're in the mood for some a cappella, Smooth McGroove is well worth the visit. Again, classic. We got every generation of video games you could imagine. And this guy does it all just with him and 12 other versions of him. And occasionally his cat.
that's a lot of editing.
Yes, but my goodness, the amount of awesome range that you would not expect from an a cappella, because normally you hear a cappella songs, there's lyrics. And you get, people are doing different bass tones and everything, but there's still lyrics involved. This is just video game music that is familiar to you, but it's just one guy going, put the jam in the pickup truck. But then you got other ones going, boo, 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 boo. And I feel stupid, and you're laughing at me, but it is so much cooler than I can possibly try.
When you combine it, it does work.
If you thought that what I just did was cool, you are in for a treat with Smooth McGroove.
Oh, man. There is one on my list still that I believe isn't on yours. You watch some of this, but they have different, kind of like Smosh and Up, Up, Down, Down, they have different divisions. And that is What Culture, a UK-based YouTube entertainment conglomerate almost these days. They have a lot of people working for them. And we watch a lot of their wrestling videos together because you love your Simon Miller and you quote him a lot. But they also have their just regular What Culture, which covers pop culture, movies, TV shows, music, and then What Culture Gaming. And it's interesting because they have so many different people doing reviews or doing listicles. There will be some that you like, yes, it's this person doing it. I love this host. And then there'll be other times you're like, oh, it's this person. Okay.
Yeah, we might just skip this one.
Watch a different video. So it can be a little hit and miss depending on the personality and whether you gel with them and have similar taste to them, because there'll be things that they say that you go, idiot, and then just stop the video. And others where you're like, yes, I totally agree. And some of the accents are always fun. It's a lot of fun. It's also amusing because some American fans struggle with different hosts because of how thick their accents are. If there's like someone with like a Welsh accent or something really heavy, it's kind of cute.
Yeah. Now, I do appreciate some of the content that What Culture Gaming put out. Some of the content is just too risky for me. If you have a video that's called the top 10 plot twists of all time, I'm not going anywhere near that, because even though I may have experienced all 10 and I'd like to see how they rank and what they've put as number one, if there is one that I don't know about yet, oh gosh, that would be critical damage to my gaming heart.
Oh, it's very true. Kind of in the same vein, I just popped into my brain just then, is Watch Mojo. Now, normally, Watch Mojo and Miss Mojo is very movie and TV show oriented, but they do have niche kind of threads for anime and for video games. And what I like is that they actually bring in sometimes guest voice actors, like Todd Habercorn does a lot of the anime videos, which is just so much fun. He also did a birthday message for me.
Nice.
But there is one Aussie host that's on the Watch Mojo page for gaming specifically, who has obviously been in America for a while and he's starting to lose his accent. So there's certain words that he says that it's very American, but then he slips back into his Aussie. It's like this, back and forth, back and forth.
Always a risk when you live overseas for too long.
It does happen to a lot of Aussie actors. So it's just one of those things when I'm watching those videos, I find kind of amusing. It depends, like if you like your listicles or where they're doing the rundown of the top da-da-da. We've done a couple of episodes in this podcast like this. We tried not to do them all the time. Like they can sometimes be seen as like an easy out if you're looking for content of just, let's list the 10 best action games, or, you know, instead of trying to dig for something that's more commonplace. I don't know. But for me, I kind of really enjoy that. I like hearing people's opinions and I like disagreeing with them.
Yeah, when we try to collectively put together a top 10 list, there's always butting heads, but it's never an issue for me because I would rank, if I had 10 children, I would rank them in order of importance. So it's not a problem for me. I can do it cold and calculated.
Aside from A, ranking kids being very wrong, B, we're never having 10 kids.
Amen. I agree with that. So there we go. That's pretty much it for our favourite YouTube gaming-related channels.
Yes.
I have discovered one yesterday that is far too early to actually put my stamp of approval on, but it is called The Completionist.
And sounds like you.
Yeah, it is, and that's exactly why I think I've found a new home on the internet. Similar to Some Call Me Johnny, he has a lot of series-based reviews about whatever series that I've had so much experience with in the past, but he tackles it not only from what the game is like, but how tough it is to complete everything that there is to do in this game. So some of them, like a Sonic Adventure, for example, you try and get all the emblems, and then you complete. Whereas a game that's like Grand Theft Auto, you have a lot of minor stuff to do if you want to complete, if you want to put the stamp of completion on that game.
Yep.
And so I'm looking forward to watching some more of this and seeing if it's going to join the pantheon of my favourite YouTube gaming channels.
Definitely. You may have noticed that there is some big channel names that we haven't put on this list. PewDiePie.
There will be no PewDiePie.
There's like a certain level of gratuitous language that we will tolerate before it becomes kind of irritating to us. And there's many video game streamers and content creators that unfortunately go into the echelons of just stuff that we can't really stomach. They're fine for some, but for me, I'm like, it feels like they're using them for full stops, you know? So for us, they're not our cup of tea. So what?
Why did you put on an accent to say cup of tea when we say it like a weird person anyway as an Australian? It just seems weird.
How is it talking like an Australian weird?
When you say cup of tea.
Well, because
But then
cup
you
of
went
tea,
cup of tea. But just that.
it's in a British expression technically.
But people in America won't know what you're talking about if you use a British accent. Wasn't that what you said before?
Or no, they can understand if it's like the Queen's English, like a London accent. But if you start going out into like the broader scopes of the various dialects that they have, that's when it starts becoming hard.
Okay, that was a callback joke. You didn't have to further explain it. So we want to know what your favourite channels are. Perhaps some off the beaten track, some with smaller subscription counts. Who knows what's out there that we haven't discovered. But we'd like to know, what is your interests on YouTube gaming channels?
Absolutely. Because it is community, and I think it's good to encourage and share the love instead of hating on everything. So let us know what you love, and maybe it'll become our next favourite thing too.
We'll be right back after this break with gaming goals. My turn to do a weird accent. You can't get all the fun.
Share the love. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegaminglovers.
So Brendo, what is on your gaming goals this week?
Are we delving into the realm of offensive?
I'm not trying to
accents
be
yet?
offensive. I was just imitating my brother-in-law, so take that how you will, Keegan. 88 meters.
Yeah, the anniversary of that was this week.
It was when we went over to South Africa to visit my sister and my brother-in-law. They decided for Brendo's birthday that they would have him jump off the top of the stadium where the World Cup was in Durban.
Yeah.
88 meters.
Attached to a giant swing in South Africa.
He was tethered. Obviously, you're still alive.
I was the first one of the group to do it and had no time to see how I was being attached. And then off I was, falling to my doom.
Probably the best, actually. Just rip that Band-Aid off.
Yeah, probably. So, video games is this podcast.
Yes, what are you going to play on your birthday?
What am I going to play on my birthday? It is birthday week, and that's
Yes.
birthday with an F, because I started saying birthday to be silly, and now I can't not say birthday with an F.
You even spell it like that sometimes.
Stupid Brendo. Look, I have a plan for this week. I have completed Resident...
a plan.
I have beaten Resident Evil 3.
Yep.
I can now not have guilt if I ignore that for a while, because I've beaten it. What I do have guilt about is poor Death Stranding. So now I am faced with a dilemma. Do I use this week to power on through and beat Final Fantasy VII, which is in progress, which stole the spot of Death Stranding on my objectives list? Or do I try to right the wrong of abandoning Death Stranding and beat that first and then go back to Final Fantasy VII? What do I do, darling? What do I do?
I don't know. It's your birthday. You can do what you want to. Do what you want to.
The thing is, I don't know how much I have left of this game. I don't know how long I have left of either of these games. If I try and split my attention between the two, I might not beat either this week.
Yeah.
If I focus on one or the other, I might beat one of them this week. But I don't know which one I should focus on to try and beat this week.
Which one seems more birthday-ish? Maybe Final Fantasy VII?
Birthday, birth, baby,
Oh.
Death Stranding. There we go. I legitimately do want to try and get as harsh as this sounds, for a game that I was enjoying so much, I kind of want to get Death Stranding out of the way and get it done. And that way that monkey is off my back. That Norman Reedus is off my back. So that might be a weird change of direction. I'm pivoting left. I'm pivoting right. I'm pivoting all over the place. Worse than Norman Reedus' stack of cargo on his back. But I might go back to Death Stranding this week and hit it as hard as I can to maximize my enjoyment of it so I can still take my time with it, but with the goal of trying to get it over and done with. Does that even make sense? I don't know.
It makes sense. Oh, dear.
I want to rush through it, but I don't want to rush the experience of rushing through it.
Yes.
Okay. Death Stranding is my gaming goal. To beat it by this time next week.
To beat or not to beat, I guess we shall see next week.
I guess we shall see next week.
I added too many syllables to that.
It was a valiant effort. Now, what about yourself? Because, as we said at the start of this episode, you have been losing steam, video game-wise. Look, lay down on the psychiatrist couch. Let's see if we can analyse what the problem is. Is the problem...
I get to lie down?
Is the problem... Hey, wake up. Is the problem Persona 5 Royal?
No.
Because if it is, that's fine. Because it's a game you've been waiting for ages and you were enjoying it, doesn't mean you have to play it.
I do. Every time I do actually get around to playing it and I have the energy and focus. See, that's a reference to the game because when you were going through the palaces, you do the focus mode and you can see. Yeah. Anyway, when I have that mental capacity, I do enjoy it and I am enjoying it and I love playing it. I love the music. It's so hard right now to find the energy. I'm like in the third trimester. We've got less than 2 months left in this pregnancy and my energy levels are at an all-time low. So that's what's made it really hard.
Okay. Well, look, in times like this, sometimes you just need a push. You need to be... No, not the baby type of push. Please don't do that just yet. But, look, I might have to start throwing some ultimatums your way to help nudge you. We'll use nudge instead. Nudge you in the right direction for beating some games before baby arrives. So how about this? How about you can either play Persona 5 Royal today or you can edit this big podcast.
Work or play?
Yep, that's your choices.
Gee, I wonder what I'd choose.
What a noble sacrifice I'm making here, by the way.
You'll edit the podcast and I'll be on the couch like start the game and just like fall asleep on the recliner.
Sorry, I started watching Up, Down, Down from the start again and I didn't get anything else done.
Sometimes I do, like if I'm playing something that's dungeon crawling and I do need to do like grinding, I'll have something else on as well. And then sometimes I get distracted by what I'm watching instead of what I'm playing. But I haven't done that as much with Persona 5 Royal because there is a lot of fresh little nuggets of content even in these new palaces. Well, not new palaces, but like there's new sections to the palaces and new bits of dialogue that they sneak in regular bits. So I don't know when a new bit's going to arrive. So that's how they sneakily keep my attention.
Well, they better because you've paid money for it.
And I love it. I do. I know, I keep complaining and I don't mean to.
We need to set an official goal that if you do not beat by next week, there will be a punishment. And it can't be, it has to be like a gentle punishment because you're heavily pregnant and it just seems mean to punish a pregnant woman. So what should we set? What have you tried to reach?
I was supposed to try to make sure that I had officially met the next team member and moved on to the next, or at least started the next palace.
Nah, forget that. You have to finish the next palace.
That's hard. Before
we get back for the next podcast. Pressure's on. You excel under pressure. You excel in 4 in Febs. Questionable.
It's the past years more so than this last year.
We're setting a challenge for you. On your own behalf, for your own good.
Okay.
This is like disciplining a child. It's for your own good.
If you don't sit there and finish your video games, no dessert for you.
Something seems wrong with this picture.
Wait, I just thought of a way to motivate me.
Okay.
reward system.
Yeah, what do you want?
Easter eggs before they officially disappear from the store.
Okay, I will hide every Easter egg in this house until you beat that dungeon.
No.
Done. That's it.
We don't have many left. I'm saying you buy more Easter eggs.
Ah.
Yes.
Okay. You can have Easter eggs.
Yeah.
In 2021. What? What's that? Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Have a great week. Stay safe.
And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on our YouTube channel, which we do actually have. So it's not as sarcastic as I thought.
All it does is post the episodes on YouTube. So if you're looking for us on YouTube, that's aside from Brendo's streaming channel that he visits very sporadically.
Very sporadically.
You can find us on YouTube as well. It's not as heavily monitored though, so we wouldn't know if anyone's commented on anything, to be honest. But thanks so much for joining us. Until next week, sayonara.
Like, subscribe, and chowski.
Thanks for listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. For more episodes or to watch some live stream gaming, visit thegaminglovers.com.